Hello everyone, this is Maimoona AIwali. I am a student at Rehan College, Korangi Campus, International Camp. So today I'm talking to ChatGPT. So let's go. Hello ChatGPT, my name is Maimoona AIwali. Now
Hey, I'm
today I'm discuss
of
about how to develop
abs.
a reading habit and expand your mind.
Sure. So, developing a reading habit is really all about consistency and finding material that genuinely interests you. You can start by setting aside a small time each day, maybe 20 minutes just before bed or during a break, and then expand from there. What kind of books or topics do you usually like?
Okay, now first question is why is developing a reading habit important in
That's
today's digital age?
Yeah, absolutely. So once you have a routine going, you could try mixing it up. A fiction book one month, maybe some nonfiction or essays the next. And if you ever get stuck, audiobooks or ebooks can also be a really great tool. Let me know how it goes.
How does reading help in expanding the mind and improving thinking skills?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, reading exposes you to it kind of trains your brain to analyze, empathize, and think more critically. So the more you read, the sharper and more open your thinking becomes.
Okay, so my next question is what are the biggest challenges people face when trying to build a reading habit?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest challenges is just finding time. Life gets busy. And then there's also the temptation of digital distractions like phones or social media. Plus, sometimes people feel like they don't know what to read or get overwhelmed by big books. So it's really about setting small, manageable goals at first.
Okay, how can a beginner start reading regularly without feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, a great way is to start small. Maybe set a goal like reading just 5 or 10 minutes a day. You can pick shorter books or even articles, just something that feels achievable. And then gradually, you can increase your time or complexity as you get more comfortable. And always try to focus on subjects you enjoy, so it stays fun.
Okay, so my next question is what role does discipline play in maintaining a daily reading routine? Please give me the long answer.
Yeah, that's a really important one. So, discipline acts like the backbone of any daily reading habit. When motivation fades, because it inevitably does, discipline keeps you going. It's that daily commitment, even if it's just a few minutes, that builds consistency over time. And once it becomes a routine, it really feels like second nature. And the benefits just build up. Your focus improves, your knowledge grows, and you stick with it.
Okay, so my next question is how much time should a person ideally spend on reading every day?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it really depends on the person and their goals. But a lot of people start with about 20 to 30 minutes a day. That's enough to build a habit without it feeling overwhelming. Of course, if you have more time or you're really passionate, you can go for an hour or more. The key is just being consistent and making it a daily part of your routine.
This is so my next question is how can choosing the right book help in developing interest in reading?
Oh, that's a big one. Choosing the right book is really crucial because when you're genuinely interested in the subject or the story, it doesn't feel like a chore. You get absorbed in the narrative or the ideas, and that excitement keeps you coming back. So when people pick books that align with their passions, whether it's fiction, self help, or science, they're far more likely to stick with reading and really enjoy it.
Okay, so my next question is what is the impact of reading on vocabulary and communication skills?
Yeah, reading can have a really powerful impact in both those areas. When it comes to recovery, like from stress or even illness, reading can be a form of escapism or a mental break, helping you relax and refocus. And on the communication side, reading a lot really enriches your vocabulary, your sentence structure, and your ability to express ideas clearly. So over time, it really boosts both confidence and clarity in communication.
Okay, so my next question is how does reading improve focus on interconnection?
Yeah, that's a great connection. So, reading really trains your mind to concentrate for longer periods. When you're engaged in a book, you have to follow a narrative or an argument, which helps you block out distractions and really zero in. And that practice of sustained focus on reading translates to better focus in other tasks. So, it's a kind of mental training ground.
Okay, so my next question is how does reading improve focus on concentration?
That's a really good point. So when you read, you're essentially training your brain to sustain attention on one thing for a period of time. You're not multitasking, you're immersed in the story or the content. So that focus muscle gets stronger. Over time, this translates to better concentration in other aspects of life, whether it's work, study, or even just staying present in a conversation.
Okay, so my next question is how can reading book change a person mindset and perspective? How?
Yeah, that's really powerful. So when you read, you're introduced to different worldviews, philosophies, and experiences that you may never have encountered before. Over time, this broadens your perspective, challenges your assumptions, and helps you see possibilities you hadn't considered. And that shift in mindset toward openness, curiosity, and growth can really shape your overall outlook on life.
What is the difference between reading for knowledge and reading for pleasure?
That's a really interesting distinction. So, reading for knowledge is often more goal oriented. You're seeking specific information, insights, or skills, and you might take notes or study deeply. Reading for pleasure, though, is more about immersion, relaxation, and enjoyment. You might lose track of time, explore different worlds, and just let yourself be carried away by the story. Both are valuable, but they serve different purposes.
Okay, so what is the difference between reading for knowledge and reading for pleasure?
Yeah, so reading for knowledge is really intentional. You're often focused on learning something specific, like a new skill or understanding a concept, and you might actively analyze or take notes. Reading for pleasure, on the other hand, is more about enjoyment. You're absorbed in a story, an adventure, or a personal escape, and there's no pressure to dissect or analyze it. Both kinds of reading complement each other, but they serve different purposes in your life.
Okay, how can present course children to develop a reading habit?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the best ways is modeling the behavior yourself. So if kids see you reading regularly, it just becomes a natural part of life. You can also make reading fun, bring them to the library, have a special reading nook at home, or pick books that match their interests so they stay engaged. And just keep it relaxed, no pressure, just enjoyment.
Okay, so my next question is what role do teachers play in promoting reading among students?
Yeah, teachers play a huge role. They're really like guides. They can introduce students to a variety of genres, model how to talk about books, and create a classroom culture where reading is celebrated. They can set aside time for independent reading, have discussions, and really encourage kids to see reading as a lifelong skill and a source of joy.
Okay, so my next question is how can reading help in personal growth and self improvement?
Yeah, that's a really profound impact. When you read, you're exposing yourself to new ideas, different ways of thinking, and personal stories. That reflection helps you understand yourself better, identify areas you want to grow, and get inspired to set goals. So, over time, that constant exposure to different perspectives really fuels your personal development.
Okay, so my next question is what type of book are best for expanding the mind and creative?
Ooh, great question. I think a mix is really powerful. So, reading across different genres like philosophy, science fiction, memoirs, or even poetry pushes boundaries and sparks new ways of thinking. Books that reflect on other cultures, different time periods, or big ideas, they really open up your imagination and expand how you see the world.
Okay, so my next question is how does reading help in understanding different culture and ideas?
Yeah, that's such a great benefit of reading. When you dive into books from different cultures or written by diverse voices, you get these rich, nuanced perspectives that you might not encounter in everyday life. It helps you understand histories, traditions, and ways of thinking that different from your own. And that kind of exposure cultivates empathy and a deeper appreciation for cultural diversity.
Okay, ChatGPT, Allah Hafiz, thank you so much for this information.
You're so welcome. I'm really glad I could help. If you ever have more questions or just want to chat about books or anything else, I'm here for it.